some more.
Yo, what's good, people? Izzy Max here, back again for another playoff edition of the MDL, and I'm here with the guys. What's going on?
Not too much.
What's up, guys?
So, we do have the first screen set up a little bit differently here. Since there are only 2 matches, we figured we were just going to break the matches down while they're playing. This is going to be at 2 times speed, and we probably are going to be skipping around a little bit. So, yeah. Ryan, since this is Matt's game, what do you think of the mons you see on the screen? Anything surprise you, or?
Nothing surprises me on the screen here.
Real quick though, the Babiri was supposed to be Wakan. Yeah, she just put the wrong berry on from her bag, so that happened. It didn't matter at all.
Didn't matter, but I mean, here's the thing. This is the core of Hub's team this season. This is what her core evolved into. And I don't think there's anything remotely surprising if you've been following her season closely. Matt has mostly the core of his team as well. He is replacing, throwing in the Jolteon, which I think is a really good tech. I was expecting to see it this game. The only thing that's a little surprising in any sense of the word is Marowak, but it's actually a really good Trickermancer to what she has. Bone Meringue killing Mimikyu pretty well, and having a solid defense stat to handle threats like Pangoro. I think it was a good tech bring.
For sure. Matt, what was anything surprising seeing what she brought, or what was your thought here?
Nothing too surprising. There were just a lot of things that I was happy not to see.
Okay.
Namely the Mimikyu. There were a few things I was concerned about her doing with the Mimikyu, and I was also a little bit concerned about the coaching on Riolu. That was you'll see later. I have taunt on Tornadus. The Riolu was kind of the only reason the taunt was even there. There's a couple of other things that it helps with, but it's mostly because I was scared of that.
Okay.
And the Lycanroc as well is a little bit awkward, which is part of why I really wanted to have Marowak here.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised she didn't bring Lycanroc, but I think the 6 that she brought definitely accomplished what she wanted to. So let's go ahead and skip forward. You see the leads, not really huge here. Okay, and now you're leading Berescu to Clefable. I know this was the lead she was expecting. It was pretty obvious, like, not gonna lie. But then she kind of blunders here and makes a play that she really shouldn't have.
Yeah, Propeller Tail again, man.
It doesn't pop up very often, but you do forget about it. Because, Matt, I don't think you even had this thing in your first... Oh, you did have this thing in your first matchup. And I think she did the same exact thing.
No, the first time we played, she did lead with the Cinderace, but she switched it out immediately into Lapras to soak up the Max Geyser. I kind of thought that she would expect me to play around that, and which is why I just straight went for the Max Geyser here, because I thought she might kind of over predict, but I also couldn't really afford to let the Max Cinderace do what it wanted to do, so I felt this was my safest play. I still won against her last time, even when she did switch in the Lapras on that.
Right.
So I felt like either way it was probably my best.
I like the mind game there too. You learn from the main season something that she could do to kind of handle that. You thought that she might overpredict that, and you kind of called that out potentially. I quite like that a lot.
No, for sure. But that is not a sign of things to come, because this match actually becomes really, really close. But here the Lapras, the helping hand was kind of interesting, and I was surprised you didn't end up killing. But I don't remember what her actual spread was on the Lapras, so...
It seemed bulkier than I expected.
Right. I think it might be. I think it might have been max HP, max defense, but we do see the Hydro Pump doing decent damage there.
Yeah, to a Clefable especially, that's some solid damage off. I like to protect there too. That makes a lot of sense to me. Kind of wasting the last turn of Max, trying to get a burn off that Serene Grace, which I think is a really smart play in this situation. You know, the Lapras can't go down here to the Max Knuckle.
The Sing here is crazy, though. And then, yep, there's the burn, so that does help a lot.
Yeah, I do feel like this game would have been locked a little earlier if not for this burn, but it wasn't an unreasonable burn, you know?
Right.
And you
Yeah,
also
it just
went
made
for Sing.
things. It made things quite a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
It would have. It ends up being the end game is more precarious than I would have liked if I hadn't gotten burned.
Yes. But you went for Sing, so you earned it, you know?
Dude, I have missed so many Sings. Like, it's supposed to be approximately 50-50.
Well, they're 50-50.
Hey, man.
Well, it is
I
in
missed
this match.
I've missed turn 1 Thunderwave like 3 times this season. Moving on, we got...
Yep, the big boy himself.
Yeah, I actually think Dragonite was a really smart bring here, especially with the set that she brought.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the Earthquake here. I think that actually helped give her a lot of good momentum that she needed.
Yeah, and
it's a good move to bring.
Yeah, right here
Against a
kind of
team like
put
yours.
Matt in a position, especially with the burn, because like you can't click Ice Fang.
I like the liquidation here, though, breaking multi-scale, and kind of watching out for a possible weakness policy proc. I thought that was really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if I was burned, I probably would have clicked Ice Fang.
Probably.
I think it probably would have KO'd, too, even through multi-scale.
No,
I've been
it doesn't.
Pretty close to it. Oh, really?
Nope.
I
Well, he
forget.
was at
Dragonite
+2. He would have been at +2, so yeah, it definitely would have killed then.
Even so, if I was not burned, I would have felt a lot safer doing that, even if it lived, because I had this fast discharge Jolteon, and I imagine the Dragonite would have been pretty low.
Right.
I'm surprised. What was the item on Jolteon?
Citrus Berry.
Citrus. Why? I thought
there
for
were
sure it'd be Sash.
no, Sash was on Tornadus.
Okay.
There were a few end game scenarios where it was mostly for non-max Cinderace toward like in a mid to late game. If I had gone for Charm onto Cinderace, I would live a Life Orb, Pyro Ball followed by Sucker Punch with the Citrus Berry.
Gotcha. We were doing some calcs like that earlier this week, so
Yeah, real quick, I do want to point out the state of the game here was very 50-50, because if you miss, she wins.
yeah. If
Well,
you
that's
miss,
more like 90-10, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's a 20% chance she burns you both times that you.
Yeah,
throw that on,
like
I
that was
think.
a very and that's what I was saying. Like, yes, she got her Dynamax waxed turn 1, but she brought that game back,
Yeah.
and it was kind of
Definitely.
off the back of that Togetic, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
Togetic has been a consistently high performing one, I think.
It has been.
And every time I see and use a Togetic, I'm impressed by it. I think it's really strong in this format. And I think it's going to remain like one of the best tier 2s for next season.
Okay, Matt, question. Did you expect her to change her lead to this?
No, but I was very prepared for this lead.
Okay. That was literally all the info I wanted. Now, she makes a play here, and I knew that because I was sitting right next to her when she was playing, she was very worried about you switching in the Marowak. Just raw switch into the Marowak. So that's why she went for the fly here.
Yeah, I thought about the possibility of Thunder Punch on Dragonite, but I was I knew that my Barraskewda could live, and that also meant that Clefable wasn't taking a max move this turn, so I was comfortable enough with it. I think if she had revealed the max lightning here, I might have considered doing that in game 3. But the first time around when we played, she was just going for Airstream, so I wanted to put Airstream on my Barraskewda so I could break the multiscale, stay faster, and threaten with a max Hailstorm.
Right. Now, here I do have to commend her. She is playing this very smartly. kind of going around your Barraskewda.
Yeah.
Especially this turn right here.
Yeah, what I thought here was I was just locking down the Dragonite with a Max Hailstorm into that slot. I figured as long as I can force her to at least do this, I was probably in a good position if I just didn't let the Dragonite do what it wanted to do. I didn't really realize how much that would end up setting me back.
Yeah, well, the Airstream boost on the Togedemaru actually plays a role later in this game.
Yeah, and it lets that. I actually think that this is one of Hub's best played games, period, like all season. One of the things I especially like about this is that we hadn't seen anybody like switch out a Dynamax option until Burst did it against me. And I think a lot of players after seeing that realized like, hey, like it's tough, but you can win off losing like a turn of maps. If you end up getting locked in a position like that, I think that was a really, really, really good play.
And then, yeah, this is just a do-nothing turn here. And the Brick Break into the Togedemaru actually put you in range for the Ice Shard, which is kind of big.
Yeah. And also, Togedemaru is sitting out here with Lightning Rod, so Jolteon can't quite do what it wants.
No.
We see a little bit later that it's actually it actually takes damage from the discharge.
Yep.
Oh, right. I forgot. She didn't actually run Lightning Rod.
It's sturdy Rocky Helmet. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
And then here, yeah, she's just targeting around knowing that the Barraskewda is going to die anyway, so she's just getting big damage off. And then the flinch. I don't know how important that flinch was, but whatever.
It wasn't. I was actually going for a Weather Ball on Togedemaru predicting a Dragonite switch.
Oh. Oh, fair enough then. Okay. I was about to say, because, yeah, she was supposed to be Wakan. This would be the only play where the berry mistake would have mattered.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, we're just kind of in this in-game. She does have 2 Mons in the back, and it's a rough spot. Yeah, here's where we'll see that it's actually not Lightning Rod. Were you expecting Lightning Rod, and that's why you ran Discharge?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I also expected to be bringing Marowak and Jolteon together. So it was, it was just a combination of my own Lightning Rod and hers. But I did sort of consider the possibility that she might want to run Sturdy just to put Focus Sash on something else.
This Mon? Right over here.
Yeah. Right. The Pangoro was not something I expected to have Focus Sash. I expected Focus Sash Cinderace because of the Barraskewda threat. Although I still thought that Light Orb Cinderace was more likely, but I thought about that possibility, but I was still kind of surprised she went for it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and then this game's pretty much over with. I can just fast forward through this.
Yeah.
All right, Game 3. What was going through your mind in Game 3 with your leads? Because you did take quite a while.
The lead was always the same. It was mostly I was mostly trying to make a decision on the back Pokemon, which ends up helping me quite a bit.
Correct. Yeah.
This last game really made me realize I needed my Marowak to be outspeeding things. So I ended up replacing the Jolteon with Tornadus.
Yep. And then here she is now going to reveal that she is Thunder Punch. Knowing that you didn't switch in the Marowak in Game 2, probably not switching it in here. Granted, you could have.
Yeah, I felt comfortable enough going for the same play. It was just my safest option against her lead here.
At this point, did you expect her to have Thunder Punch, since you didn't see it in Game 1? Or Game 2, I'm sorry.
No, I was actually more worried about a Max Wormwind, because at -1, I don't think a Hailstorm actually takes out Dragonite here. Turns out she didn't have it, of course, but I also knew that I lived this. Not well, but, I lived.
Right. And then here is where she makes a mistake. And it's kind of a big one.
Yeah, at this point, on my end, it's just, I just have to make a call. I just have to decide: is she going to play defensively like last time, or is she gonna call my bluff?
So right here in this moment, she is yelling at herself. She didn't go back far enough, and it just auto-locked her into the switch. She actually wanted to switch the Togedemaru out for Lapras to save Fake Out for later. And she was going to let the Dragonite go down because the Barraskewda now is in Hail plus Ice Shard range. But yeah, switched the wrong Pokemon. So that's kind of what happened here. And, oops. Had she not made this play, that would have been big brain and just attack. But
yeah, I mean, I was also sort of comfortable making this play because I knew that
she was either protecting or switching.
Well, I mean, even if the Dragonite attacked, I was comfortable enough with it because I knew that the Clefable could take a max move, and Barraskewda still had another shot at hitting the Dragonite the following turn, especially because I already had an Airstream boost, so it's going to be faster even if she Airstreamed.
And then Lapras still eats that, which was kind of surprising at +1.
Yeah, that's what let me know that she was more defensive than I expected, because that was... if she was just straight max HP, that was most likely a KO.
Mm-hmm. Right. And this is where things get very interesting, because the match is still 4-2 in her favor, but her Togedemaru has taken way too much damage.
Yeah, so this is where the switch to Tornadus ends up saving me.
Yeah. Yeah, if this was Jolteon, I think she might have won.
I would have to get lucky with Discharge, Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like the tailwind here. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Torn did not eat that Ice Shard very well, surprisingly.
No, but then the Earthquake just kills both. And now she's in a position.
Yeah, I didn't have any bulk in the Tornadus. It was just a Focus Sash variant. I had to be absolute max speed to outspeed the Lycanroc, so...
Right. Yeah. Now, here is an interesting play, because I know she was debating this one a lot. She was debating actually going into the Torn, which, if she would have, potentially would have won her the game here, but instead she goes into the Marowak, even though she knows it wouldn't kill.
From the range Pangoro was at, Bone Meringue was most likely going to KO, so I...
Okay.
Yeah.
Missed there.
Because I was about to say, if Rock Slide was going to be what you were clicking, I think she wins. But I do think that should have went into the Tornadus.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the game there. I mean, it was cleanly played for sure on both ends. There was a few mistakes that I do think kind of put her in a bad position, but you played pretty much to your flow chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like actually the adjustment to the Torn here a lot. And I really liked, I especially liked her game 2 quite a bit. I think it was really... Well, I think that this is definitely what you'd expect to see out of a semifinals for sure.
Oh, for sure. And one big thing was she didn't really have any counterplay if you switched it up, which you did and it showed, but she really had no counterplay to the Torn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, good game, and we'll move on to our next one. So, I'll stay out of this one a little bit more. Ryan, Ryan or Matt, you guys can take the lead on this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna start because I actually was sent both sets ahead of time. So I kind of knew going into this that Maxwell was going to try to get Lucario or Shifu to go off for beat up set to sweep. I also knew going into this game sort of Hunter's game plan. He messaged me about it. I got his team pastes. So I sort of knew the idea. Hunter had a fast mode here with a weakness policy Dragapult with a Shadow Steep Dusclops. He planned on leading Thungus Glastrier, saying that he wouldn't expect Maxwell to believe that was going to be one of the possible leads. It kind of was.
It was definitely the lead that I expected.
He has the Silvally Fairy, which I was actually really surprised did not come, especially game 2. And he had a kind of bulkier offensive support Slowbro set. By the way, sorry if you can hear drumming. My brother got home from his week convention. I had to spend 40 minutes driving him to, and he barely hung out for an hour. So good on him.
Oh, man.
And that was kind of the deal. So the question was really if Maxwell, if you could get that Blastoise to shine again, and if you could get that beat up strat to go off. Because if you did, you had a pretty solid win con. In Hunter's case, he needed to either get that fast mode to work in his favor, or he needed to get the slower modes of his team to kind of work out in his favor. I do think that his prep here was really solid. One thing that could have really bit you was an early version of the team did have a Lumberry on the Glastrier in one of the early sets he sent me.
Yep.
However, he kind of realized that a close combat plus a close combat from Lucario or Shifu one-hit KO'd it, so he opted instead for Chople.
Okay, Matt, what are your thoughts on the 6?
I find it very interesting. I haven't gotten the chance to watch this match yet.
Yep.
But the Shadow Sneak stuff on Hunter's side is cool. Do we know what the Glastier's item ended up being?
Chople.
Berry.
Because
it died to the double up from Lucario or Shifu.
Right. Okay. I missed the Chople part of that. Okay. So I like the beat up combo here. I'd be a lot of the time I'd be kind of scared of going for that myself, since you have goggles on Blastoise instead of the Urshifu. But it's obviously very nice against the horse, and if he's not leading Fungus, then you're good. And Fungus is kind of weak anyway. You can you can take it out in one turn with the Wicked Blow and a max move from Lucario if you want. So
right. So the early version of my team did start with Goggles Urshifu, but you'll see why I didn't do that later in the match.
Yeah, I think that pretty smart, because it covers for a Dragapult lead as well in case he wants to max airstream your Urshifu.
Yep. I got weakness berries for days. So let's go ahead. I'm talking a bit here. Okay, and there's our lead. So you see Glastrier, Fungus, Blastoise, Colossal.
Yep. And Hunter led with his Fungus Glastrier lead that he messaged me about. Maxwell going for a fairly defensive play for him. Most of the time I noticed Maxwell likes to start fairly offensive. Going for a Max Guard here I think was a really, really good call, because it was kind of the best neutral play. You expect a Quake into the Colossal here. But that's not quite what happens.
No, which was very surprising.
But that said, here's where the safety goggles come in, because you get the yawn off. So now you get to scout game 1 for whether or not this thing actually is Lumberry or not.
Which was my whole plan. 100%.
And now you also pause here. So this turn is really interesting because despite appearances, Hunter's actually slightly on a back foot here. So one of the big things that I'll commend Maxwell on this game is this is some expert game 1 scouting. So how he kind of opted to scout was, okay, well, I'm going to lead with the Colossal Blastoise. Colossal can inform me of whether or not the Fungus is Sash or Eviolite, which was a big deal in this matchup, which it was Sash, which was kind of an issue with Hunter's team the whole season, with Fungus usually had to be Sash.
Well, I was honestly expecting the Mental Herb on Dusclops.
Right, so this lets you scout for a potential Sash on Fungus with the Vocalith. You also get to see if this Glastrier goes down to Yawn, or if he switches out, or anything like that. And you're not expecting Colossal to live the turn, but if he does something like switch out this Glastrier, well, Colossal lives the turn and then just goes in. So he kind of has to target it this turn. So you've put yourself in a position where, yes, you lose your max, but
he kind of does as well,
yeah, you put him at a massive disadvantage for a late game.
Matt, what are your thoughts so far?
I think on the surface, it seems pretty dangerous for you, because he can just go for this. I imagine he's going for a Max Quake onto your Colossal. So seems like a dangerous situation. But I mean, it makes sense. Like Ryan said, you're losing your max, but since Glastier's going to sleep, he kind of is also. He's because he's got a guaranteed sleep turn on his last turn of Max, so at the very least, you don't have to deal with Max Glaster anymore.
Right, and like Ryan was saying, I now reveal that the Fungus is carrying the Focus Sash instead of Eviolite. Like I said, because I was expecting the Dusclops to have the Mental Herb, so I also see that it's not Lumberry. So I wasn't expecting Chopple or anything. I was actually expecting Weakness Policy. But nevertheless, this is what happened. And I knew he was getting Trick Room up here. There was no way I could stop it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Normally, I would say there's no way to prevent Trick Room except for critting your super effective move on Dusclops, but it already does that.
It already does that.
Can't crit.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a good neutral play.
Yeah, and we're chipping away at the Dusclops anyway. And at this point, he's lost his max, so I'm feeling very comfortable. And I was kind of debating this play because, like, if he ally switches again, who cares? I'm getting off big damage. So the Glacier ends up waking up, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, it kind of seems like that was what he was playing to.
Yeah.
It seemed like the ally switch was just to burn a sleep turn, hope to get a 1-turn wake, and then set Trick Room. Which
he does set Trick Room, which is fine.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's enough.
Mm-mm. No, especially here. I had a feeling this wouldn't kill, because I'm not like Life Orb or anything. But this was really the only play I had. Like, I had priority a lot of it.
It should go down to the Roxy and at the end of the turn, right?
Yeah, it does.
I think that's good enough then.
Mm-hmm. And he kills Urshifu here. Like you said, yeah, it kind of looked bad if you were just watching without my comm, that, oh, I kind of just let Colossal die and, like, I didn't get anything out of it, really. But no, this was very flowcharty, and this is really what was supposed to happen. And then
you
here,
really set yourself up for this.
Yeah, and then here I'm also kind of scouting as well to see if this thing has Trick Room later, because that was another thing I was worried about, that he could double set. But I'm just going to put it to sleep and reveal that it is Darkberry, which is a good thing to have knowledge of. And yeah, the Skull does 50. Even if he burns me, I don't really think it matters all too much, because he is going to sleep here, and then Trick Room will be up.
Yeah, I think the only way he gets out of this is if he burns you and then gets
like a 1-turn sleep.
Lucky on his sleep turns. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's going to be game 1 here. And then going into game 2, I do end up switching up my lead. And he does as well, so we're going to see what these are, and then I kind of want your guys' thoughts on those. So he leads Dusclop Fungus, which is what I expected, honestly, in game 1. And I lead Cancer Thunderous with Blastoise. So what are you guys' thoughts on these?
I mean, obviously this is a pretty safe Trick Room option, but this is kind of where your Thunderous comes into play. So one of the things here that really stuck out to me is you have that Prankster Thunderous set that I thought was really smart, because it handled the fast mode and the slow mode really well. Mm-hmm. And I also think that this is just kind of passive on both sides, because you're both essentially trying to get a setup threat to go off. However, this can pretty effectively stall Max turns, and with those safety goggles on that Blastoise, he really can't stop it from doing whatever it wants. And you're going to see when I played Hunter, I did something very similar, where you're just going to keep yawning the same slot.
Yep.
Because he can't handle if you're double yawning, especially without that. Since you now know he doesn't have Lum, you can kind of push that advantage a little further.
Yep. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I'm a little surprised to see this lead from Hunter, honestly, especially since you revealed that your Blastoise was safety goggles in the first game. It seems like a situation here where you could maybe even just click yawn and substitute, you don't even necessarily need to taunt here, because a taunt, to me, I might sub over taunt, because a taunt would force the fungus to switch out.
Yep, that's exactly what happens.
That's exactly what I do, yeah.
Right.
Yep, you yawn and you sub, and it's priority sub too, which is really nice.
Yeah,
right.
Because you don't actually need to taunt the fungus here, because if you sub up, what's fungus doing?
Right.
You know?
Right. I think this is nice too, because it's you're playing passively against his passive lead, and you're not letting him just get the horse in. You're more wasting trick room turns, which I think is excellent.
Well, when in prep, the reason I found this combo to be very good was my passive lead did a lot more things than his passive lead. Like, yeah, neither of us can do damage, but I'm putting things to sleep. Like, his lead really can't do that because I'm behind a sub and I got safety goggles. And then he is still just rage powdering here, which, whatever. I'm going to taunt that just so I can start doing other things, but it's not really huge.
And this breaks Sash, which is nice.
Yeah, that was the whole reason for that. Granted, I should have yawned the Dusclops slot, but, 50-50, whatever. And then, I'm just spreading my disease.
This is an interesting play by Hunter. I still don't know if I 100% agree with it. I would have doubled the Thunderous here for sure.
Well, yeah, here in this play, it's gonna show that it doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter because Fungus doesn't do enough.
No.
But even still, in his position, I probably would have double targeted that first turn. I get that the Blastoise is being a massive problem, so you want to get rid of it, but I don't think dual targeting there helps. I think even a single target onto the Blastoise would have been really good there.
Yeah. And then I just double yawn the Slowbro slot there.
And now we get
calling which one is getting hit with the Sludge Bomb.
Yep.
I called it wrong, which is unfortunate, but whatever. Matt, what do you think about this switch? It's free.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't seem like there's much downside with the Slowbro asleep and the Fungus taunted, so...
At this point, everything has been stalled. He's called this a misplay. I still don't actually think it was a huge misplay. Obviously, the Urshifu is KO'd with the Wicked Blow, but having the Sun Up is actually kind of nice, especially if you ended up in a situation
with the
where a late game Blastoise had to click Weather Ball. I don't think the Flare here is bad. I do think, obviously a Darkness or a Steel Spike probably would have been better, but I don't think this plays as bad as you thought it was.
While I was, other than the poison there, but no, while I was playing, I was really debating what to do here. And yeah, the Weather Ball from the Blastoise did come up. I was like, maybe I can do this, just get some extra damage off. And it is lowering the damage output from this Slowbro.
Yeah, and Lucario has no bulk at all.
Nope. Adamant, max attack, max speed.
So at this point, I think that the game it's not 100% locked, but it's
over.
In those final stages, yeah, it's pretty much...
Yeah, well, the one problem with this is somehow if he got rid of Urshifu and Lucario, I just hard lose. Because of what I brought, but I had to play it this way for horse reasons.
Yeah.
So, and I almost called this Protect. I really almost did, because I am Shucka. That's probably going to be the best move he can do. So I did almost max Darkness into the Slowbro.
Yeah, but at this point you don't really need to, because even if the Slowbro wakes up in the sun, it's not doing any damage to the Lucario.
No, and here's the thing, I'm glad I didn't, because then I had to deal with ally switch stuff.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you're quiet. What do you think so far?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty simple end game here. I think you made the right play, just hitting into the horse. I think it would have just been an unnecessary risk to call that Protect and attack around it. It was just the safest thing you could do.
By the way, this felt so good.
I don't think Hunter has had any misplays in this situation, but I do think Maxwell kind of abused a few weaknesses of his team here in this set, and I feel like that is ultimately what's kind of given him this one.
Yep.
Also,
one-shotting that Glacier felt so good. It felt so good.
As the other person who did that this season, I feel you, man. It's always a pop off moment when that happens.
Yeah, and then here, as soon as the slow bro goes down, the game's pretty much over. So we'll
it's on lock.
We'll end it right here and just kind of talk about what happened. So leading off, Matt, that's the game. What do you think of the game in general?
I think you did a really good job of just counter teaming him. I think Hunter probably needed to get a little bit more creative if he was going to pull it out here. But you called what he wanted to do, what he's been doing, and it worked out very, very well.
Yeah. Did you take your notes?
You don't worry about what I'm doing.
Ryan.
Yeah, I do think Hunter prepped for this game well in a lot of respects. I sort of think one of the issues here was after that first game, I don't feel like Slowbro does anything. I honestly feel like after that first game, I wouldn't have even gone for a trick room mode. No. I probably would have pivoted to a more offensive set, which granted still wouldn't have worked as well, but I feel like for a game 2, he stuck to a very similar type of mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why, because he was like, well, Maxwell doesn't have any major way to deny me trick room with this lead. But even if you had led Colossal Blastoise again, I mean, you're still
he was
can play
so
around
passive.
that. Yeah, it's still so passive that you can play around that pretty well. So I do think that the Thundurus was very key here. You've kind of underutilized Thundurus a bit this whole season,
mm-hmm.
And I was glad to kind of see it really come to the forefront and show why it's as highly ranked as it is.
Now here, I want your guys' opinion. How much did the Frisk and him knowing that I was Koba and safety goggles negate the Dragapult lead?
I think it hurt a lot. I think the Koba in particular, because Urshifu is the Dragapult counter. There's a reason it lost usage once Urshifu came out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that you were Koba Berry to eat it, I think probably very heavily discouraged it. I actually still think it could have done pretty well, but I do understand the logic there.
I do as well. Yeah, the finals are going to be me and Matt. We've only played once in the past 2 years, and it was kind of a bad game from me because it was literally the second game of the season last year, and I did not start with a good season. So, Matt, are you excited for our finals match?
Yeah, I think this is given how this season has played out, this is the most fitting matchup for finals. We've both dominated our divisions pretty well. We both went X1 in the regular season.
Technically, we went X1. I gave a forfeit win because I didn't feel like playing.
Right. Yeah. I'm not counting that against you. I think it's fair to say we both went X1. And even we've talked about this before. In both of our losses, it was kind of just due to us getting in our own way when we actually had a pretty good chance to win.
Yep, me clicking Thunder Punch and you not switching.
Yep.
Yeah,
so I have a job for next week.
Yes, we're gonna try Ryan out on post comms. He's going to calm the game. I'm going to stream it to him, and he's going to either calm it himself or draft somebody else to help him do it. But that's going to be interesting. So
yeah, I get to be Aaron Zhang. I'm so happy. I'm like Aaron Zhang. I can't hit any moves either. So
oh my god,
that's fitting. Ideally, someone suggested in the Discord doing an actual live comm of finals, which I'm pretty sure we can actually do. So I'm probably going to live comment. I may recruit somebody to help me out with the live comm just so I have someone to have rapport with. But we'll kind of see how it works out and what the schedule looks like. And then, next week, there will be some discussion of the ending of that video. We'll kind of go over plans for next season. There are some changes kind of coming around.
Introduction of new coaches, new and returning coaches.
Yep, new and returning coaches kind of get introduced, and we are restructuring a few minor things. to kind of improve our workflow, make the season feel a little smoother, that sort of thing.
Yep. So, any last minute things before we wrap it up? We're right at 40 minutes. So, Matt?
I'm excited for our match. Let's do it.
Heck yeah. Ryan?
Congrats to everyone who's made playoffs. These have actually been, I think, much... Last season had very clean playoffs. I feel like these were even cleaner overall. Just very good games, very edge of the seat, I felt like, for all of them. And I wish you two the best. I'm not really sure who I'm rooting for yet. Probably Johnny, but we'll see.
Man, you caught so many people off guard with that joke. I'm not gonna lie, no one knew what you were talking about.
I'm just too powerful. It's okay.
All right, without further ado, we will see you guys in the finals. Peace.